friends, you are crafting with Kim Byers, and today we are going to talk all about DTV. First and foremost, what is DTV? I personally am not a huge fan of acronyms. Just tell me what it is. So DTV is direct to vinyl. And you're probably like, okay, so now what does that mean? What is direct to vinyl? Long story short, it is printable vinyl. So printable vinyl, like heat transfer vinyl. So HTV, heat transfer vinyl, see, I even messed myself up. DTV, direct to vinyl. So it is basically a printable heat transfer vinyl. Yes, that's exactly what it is. So today we're gonna go through the whole thing. I'm gonna talk to you about exactly what it is, what you can, use it on, what kind of printer you have to have, all the things. And then we are going to make some darling Halloween totes and bags for the 2022 season. These are so stinking cute and have some really fun designs to share with you guys. So I hope you'll hop over to the craft table with me. We'll talk all about DTV, and then we will hop into Cricut Design Space for a little while, and I'll show you all about the designs. And by the way, you don't have to have a Cricut to do this. I just want to point that out real quick. So I'm using a Cricut today, but you don't have to. Okay, so then once we do that, we're gonna come back to the craft table and put it all together. So if you have not already, I would love for you to hit that subscribe button and join me for all my future videos. Let's go. Okay, so here we are on my craft table, and I've gotten the things together that we're going to work with today. So I have some tote bags. These were from the Target Dollar Spot. These are just so cute. I love these. I got a ton of these, and then this I believe is from Hobby Lobby. Pretty sure that's where I got this one. I have a green mat. I have my Cricut Explorer 3. Now you can use a Maker or any of the Explorers. Unfortunately, Joy does not have the print then cut feature. And then I have my heat source, which is going to be my Easy Press 2. Now I want to show you this. This is the DTV. It looks like regular copy paper. So when I got it from Amazon, it came like this, and it just says Caesar Easy Color DTV Heat Transfer Vinyl. It just came in a plastic bag. Now I'm not sure who I bought this from, but I will put links to all of this down below so you guys can get to it easily. But these are the actual sheets. Again, they look like copy paper. I'm not sure if you can see this on camera, but it's very white. And then on the back, it's kind of a gray color, which is the carrier piece. Now, if you are going to cut intricate small things, you're also going to want this transfer sheet. So this is going to allow you to pick up that design. These are sold separately. I want to say that these are $2 a sheet, and then these are about $1 a sheet. Now these are much like transfer tape. You could use this multiple times, so you don't necessarily have to have one for every single project. So I just wanted to point that out because I probably bought too many. I have 5, I got 5 sheets, and I got 5 of these. So I will link all of this up down below for you. So these are the sheets, and they, look at this, kind of wiggly. It's a lot just like paper, but guys, I cannot wait to show you what this looks like when printed. It is amazing. Okay, so before we go over to Cricut Design Space, let's go over a quick wrap up of all the things that we just covered. Can I really print to vinyl? Yes, yes, you can print to vinyl. So I don't have to have a sublimation printer? No. Inkjet printer, and it's not even a special inkjet printer, right? We're just talking about the one you already have in your craft room or already have in your home office. It just needs to be a normal inkjet printer. Do I have to have a special substrate to use DTV? Will the direct to vinyl go on anything? Yes, so anything that you would normally use iron-on, so like a t-shirt that you got at Target or a canvas that you picked up at Hobby Lobby, those things you can use. This is vinyl, this is iron-on basically, and so you're going to be able to use all of those substrates. You don't have to have anything special, no sublimation special substrates. That you don't have to worry about any of that with this. You're going to be able to go to the Dollar Tree or the Dollar Spot. You're going to be able to pick up those things that you randomly find, which I love, finding the cheap stuff. So you're going to be able to use all of those. Do I have to have a Cricut to do this? So I can print it off on my normal printer. So do I have to have a Cricut to cut it out? No. No, you don't. You can cut this out by hand. You could print this on your printer and then fussy cut around it with a pair of scissors. And by the way, if you are interested in today's video, you might very well be interested in my last 2 videos, which were all about sublimation without a printer. Okay, so today we're doing a version-ish of sublimation with a printer, but not a sublimation printer. So this is going to be another very cost-effective way for you to do sublimation type projects. Okay, so let's go ahead and hop over to my computer and I will walk you through Cricut Design Space. We'll look at all of the designs and all the things that we're doing today. Okay, so here we are in Cricut Design Space and I've gone ahead and pulled in some things that I want us to work with today. So my number one tip for you when you are using DTV is do not compromise on your color. Don't compromise on your patterns. When you're using DTV, you are printing out that design. You can have all the colors, all the patterns. You don't have to limit yourself to what vinyl or iron-on you have in your craft room. And this is one of the things I love about this DTV and sublimation type projects. Okay, so I am going to put the links to all of these down below so you can hop down and check those out. I am just in love with some of these guys. They're so cute. The other thing is I pulled in some things from Cricut Design Space and applied pattern to them. So if you look up here, let's just make this a little bit larger. I want to show you this real quick. Okay, and if you go and you look at these guys, so I got these out of Cricut Design Space. So you have this cute little head, actually he's this, and the ghost, and which is actually one of those. And then I have the pumpkin here, which is actually this pumpkin. So I wanted to show you how you could pull in all kinds of different designs and then make it what you want it to be. And so what I did is then I used the features within Cricut to make these have patterns. So I put pattern on his face and on his hair and pattern on my little ghost and pattern behind. So I will show you how to do that as well. Or you can go into some of my favorite design websites and pick up images like this that are already designed. They already have pattern behind them. Such cute stuff going on for Halloween. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with the basics. We're going to talk about how do you find images and bring those in and get those turned into images with pattern. And then we'll talk about how do you go out and find other images and bring those in like this. And then how do we pull that together and maybe even put an offset behind it so that these print easily, cut easily with our Cricut and print then cut. So what I did is I took this little guy and I looked over into layers. And so if I wanted to use him as one shape, what I would do is I would go up into basic cut and make him a print then cut, and it would collapse or flatten that whole thing. So it would just be one print. But what I really wanted to do was turn off everything that I didn't want. So I really just wanted his hair and I really wanted his face. And then when you're looking at that, you're like, well, Kim, that gave you his hands too. But what I did is I went into the contour tool right here, and I'll put a video on how to use contour up above, but it is super, super simple. And so you're just going to click on contour, remove his hands, and you're going to be left with this guy. So this cute little, you just have the hair and you have the face. And so once you have that, now you can say, okay, I'm going to do one of two things. I'm either going to flatten him. Okay, so let's just do that real quick, flatten him. So now see, he's one thing, it made him print then cut right out of the gate. And that's great, and he's adorable. But what if you wanted to put pattern on him? Okay, so I'm gonna undo that real quick. We're gonna click on him again and move down. So I'm gonna click on the one thing. So I'm gonna click on hair, and I'm going to look over here, and when I go into materials and you look into advanced, you're like, well, there's just a bunch of colors here. So what you have to do to be able to make that into a pattern, click off of it, click on just his hair again. We're going to go up and do print then cut. Before we do anything else print then cut, we're just going to do that individual piece print then cut before it's flattened. Okay, so now that he's print then cut, I can click on the color, which is black, and see here it's actually a drop down. It's easy to miss, but if you click that drop down, you see the word pattern. And now it's going to bring up patterns that are currently already stored in Cricut. And if you go into filter, then you can search for just black patterns. So you only want his hair to be some version of black. And so I clicked on this one, okay, and we click off and you see, okay, so it's this big pattern. Well, I kind of wanted it to be a smaller pattern. Oh, this is super cute. So then what I'm going to do is get that print then cut. And I'm going to go back into that, and you see this here, you can edit that pattern, which means you can then use the scroll bar. You can make it smaller, you can make it larger, you can tweak that and change that up to be whatever you want it to be. Isn't that cute? Okay, so then you click off of that. Now you've got this really cool pattern on his hair. So now you can either, select that whole thing. So just select him and flatten it, print then cut, or you can go in and then change his face. So it's really, really neat that you can take this design and make it completely your own by changing colors, patterns, whatever the case may be. So then you would do that same process with your ghost, with your jack-o'-lantern. So once you have your Frankensteins and guys the way that you want them to be, you can then, click on all three of them together and flatten them. Okay, so once they're flattened, they become one print. So you see this, you have the little face, little ghost, and the jack-o'-lantern. It's all together. It is truly that easy, guys, to do that. And you're going to do the same thing with the name. So you're going to be able to take the name and then put a pattern to that if you want to. Or this one right here, these are images that I found on one of my favorite crafting site. So I'm going to put links to these down below, these fonts, and it's actually multiple kinds, all from the same designer. It's so darling. Just, I love it. So you're going to be able to, pull in things like that. So for instance, if you find a design outside and you wanted to bring that in, you would just go into upload and then you would upload these individually. It's not like a font. These are actually individual images. So, and you could bring in all kinds of things. Now that we have our designs, we know how to find our designs. We've uploaded some designs. Now let's start putting them on the substrate that we're going to use. So whether it's a tote bag or a little bitty treat bag. So what I have done is I've gone over into shapes and I have just brought in a shape that is close to what I'm going to be putting it on. So we're doing totes today. So I just grabbed a square and now I have measured the tote on the craft table. And so it is roughly 14 by 14. So I'm just going to go up here and type in 14, and because my lock button is on, it's going to make it a perfect square, so a 14 by 14. Now my tote is roughly this color. Well, it's kind of like an off-white color, so I made it off-white. So you can do that by, if I'm clicked on this one, you just go up and change the color. And so now that we have that, I'm just going to delete that one. Now that we have that, what I want to do is I want to bring in one of the designs, the set. So we did our Frankenstein, our ghost, and our jack-o'-lantern, and I want to pull in her name. So now that I have that, what I want to do, let's pull it up a little bit and make it a little bit larger. So when you're using DTV and you're printing these things off, you can absolutely print them individually. So you can print this little guy, you can print this, and then you can fussy cut that out with a pair of scissors, or you can use Cricut Design Space Print Then Cut. So it will cut anything and it'll cut right up beside that. But what I think is a whole lot easier is to actually put a offset behind those things so that then it's all one cut. It's coming at one time, and that's going to make it easier for me to place onto my tote bag. So I have them as print then cut, great. So I'm just going to flatten them as one, so now they're all together. You can go up into offset, click on that, and it's going to automatically do a 0.25 offset. So let's move that over so you can see that. Okay, so you can actually right here make that a little bit smaller if you want to. So you could do a 0.20. So you see how that pulls that in, and now you have these little areas in between the letters, which is great. You can make it smaller if you want it a little bit tighter. And then if you don't want those little cuts in there, I can show you how to get rid of those. But let's just say we apply. Okay, so now it made them black, but you can go in and make them white, orange. You can make them any color you want to, because again, you're printing these. If you look over into layers, it's actually two separate things. So you have the flattened Addy, print then cut, and then you have the offset, print then cut. So when you're clicked on this offset, this, just the outline, and you're like, I don't want those little cuts in between there. If you look down, the contour tool is not available to you. And the reason is because this is a print then cut. It's not hard to fix this. You just have to go up into options, make that a basic cut for a minute, and now hit that contour and go in and remove those two cuts on the inside. Okay? And when you click off of that, it's a cut, remember? So now we're going to go back up and we're going to make that a print then cut, and then fix your color. and make that white again. Okay, so now you have two elements that are print then cut. We highlight both of those and then we flatten them. And so now you have Addie, print then cut without the holes, all together as one element. Voila, it was a couple of clicks and it is that easy. So what I did for this one is I wanted the little faces and I wanted her name, and I made it all one print then cut element. So if we click on that and we look over to the side, so we have Addie, we have all the different elements, and now because they're all together, we want to flatten those. Ta-da! All together. And so here is a little caution cone. So always look at your caution cone. So the caution cone is telling me that it's too large for a print then cut. So I'm going to have to change it down just a little bit. Okay, so I think that is going to be perfectly lovely. It's going to be, I'm going to position it just a little bit lower, so this is the top of the bag. Before we hop over to the craft table, I just want to show you this. So I also, those letters that I pulled in, I thought it would be really fun to put those on some treat bags, some like smaller treat bags. So I did the same process, but I used a script lettering. So I just went into font, pulled my font over, and then I can just type in the name of the child. So here we go. So Alex. Okay, and so now I just did the same process that I did before. So we have a letter, we have this letter, we can just take his name, turn it on its side, place it next to it, kind of get it arranged the way that we want it to be. And then I can grab both of those and I can flatten them. So it's all one piece, and now that it's one element, I can go up into offset and do an offset around it and make that as big or as little as I want it to be. So it is literally that simple. So you can see here I have the C and I have Cole, and then I made it a design. And so these are just my little templates so I can see what things are going to look like. So we're going to turn off everything that we have here. Next, we send our designs to print on our DTV sheet. And so let's go ahead. We're going to use our Explore 3 today, but you could use your Maker or any of the older Explorers as well. So make it. And it brings it up on our mat so we can see this is one full sheet, so we're maximizing that entire sheet. And then you can see here, if you click off of that, so there's not that smaller box. I just want to point that out. So if you're looking at this one and you click off, there's not an interior box. This is the bounding box on the outside, and this is how Cricut reads the cut. So you'll have that black box, and then when you click here, just click off, and you can see that there's two elements there. Okay, so now that we have confirmed everything is good, one thing I do want to point out to you guys is you are doing a print then cut on this, and I don't want any confusion around this. You do not mirror image things that you're using DTV on, okay? So you're not going to mirror image that. So let's go ahead and hit continue. And so here we see print on 8.5 by 11, send to the printer. So we're going to click that. And now once you get to your printer, guys, I want you to make sure that you are optimizing what your printer can do. So normal printers, inkjet printers, they are going to hold back as much ink as possible unless you tell them that this is a photo quality item. Okay, so your blacks are not going to be as blacks, your oranges are not going to be as orange. So you need to make sure that you're using your system dialog box, and whenever you click through this, it's going to bring up your system dialog box for your printer, and you want to make sure that you select photo quality, or if you don't have photo quality, best quality. So that's going to allow it to give you all the ink for that particular print. Okay, and now when it comes to bleed, so people ask, what is bleed? Bleed is basically giving the Cricut machine a little bit of leeway to make sure that they are not, cutting into your design. We don't need a bleed for this because I have an offset on it. And so now we'll hit print. So if it does this and it starts spinning for you, basically what that's telling you is your system dialog box for your printer popped up behind your Cricut screen. Okay, so now this is the dialog box for my printer. I'm actually using my husband's today because I wanted to use an inkjet printer. And so this is just a normal printer he uses for all of his normal work stuff. There's nothing special about this. But what you do want to do is, you see this here with quality, you want to make sure that your quality is clicked to best. Now some printers are going to have the ability to click down and choose like photo quality. You want to make sure that you are choosing whatever that photo quality or that best is. So this is the best he's got, so that's what we're going to use today. Okay, let's go. Okay, so here's the first one. Guys, look how beautiful and vibrant that is, and you can see the patterns. Everything turned out just gorgeous, and so I cannot wait for us to go ahead, put this on the mat and get this cut out by the Cricut, and then we are going to press it onto our bag. Okay, so now that our designs have been printed, the next thing we want to do is we want to go in and set our base material. So I don't have it, in my favorites right now, so we're going to click Browse All Materials, and in the search bar, I'm just going to put in printable vinyl. So then we're going to choose printable vinyl. I may even make that a favorite. I may love this DTV. We'll hit done. And so now it's just telling us we need our fine point blade, and we're ready to go to the craft table. Okay, so now back on the craft table, I want to move everything out of the way, and we're going to put our printout on our sheet and go ahead and put it into the Cricut and get it cut. Okay, so we want to place this on our mat the same way that it shows it on the mat on our Cricut. And when you put something on the mat, you always want to start in that corner. Okay, and so we'll put with Addie's name facing away. So this should be completely dry when it comes off the printer. I'm going to use a brayer just to make sure that I have everything down, and I want to go in one direction with this sheet. Okay, so now everything should be good and in place, and now we're going to place this into the Cricut and have it cut. Okay, so now we want to load our mat. Okay, and so for our second sheet. Okay, so now let's unload, move our Cricut out of the way a little bit. Okay, so when you take anything off of the mat, you want to bend the mat and not the material. And for this mat is a little less tacky, so I actually put a couple of small pieces of tape on it just to keep it from shifting. I didn't want any shifting. And so this one is actually peels just right off. But if you have any trouble with it, just make sure that you bend the mat and not the material. Okay, so now that we have our materials, the next thing that we want to do is we want to weed them out. Okay, so while our Easy Press is heating up, let's go ahead and weed these out. Now remembering that we have a white border on offset all the way around this, so I'm just gonna grab it at the edge. And guys, this stuff is so light. I think it's, if you've ever used the Cricut, what they called Sports Flex, which was just very light and not heavy at all, that is what this feels like. This feels exactly like that, very bendy. And I think would be super soft for everything from a baby's onesie to a t-shirt, a sports shirt. Even you could probably put this on dry fit. So this turned out just perfectly. And so now what I want to do is I want to do that same process and get this off of these two. Okay, and so now that we have our substrate, we have our tote bag, we just want to quickly press out any wrinkles and just get it all ready for our DTV. Okay, and so now you want to make sure and allow this to to cool completely, guys, because as soon as you place that DTV on something that's warm, it's going to want to try to stick. So you don't want that to happen. Okay, so now we have that done. It looks perfect, ready to go. And so let's let it cool for just a second, and then we'll put on our design. Now that our bag is cool, we want to take our ruler. Our bag is 14 inches. Remember, that's what we put in Cricut Design Space. Our design is about 9 inches. And so I would say, yes, 9 inches. So our center point is 4.5, which is right next to our ghost, like right between the eyes right there. So what we want to do is we're going to take our design off of the sheet. Now this is different from like normal iron-on. So what we're going to do is, it's fragile, so be careful, but you're basically just going to peel up this design. Now remember, if it was multiple small elements, what you would want to do is use that transfer sheet that I was showing you before. And so it's a lot like a transfer sheet that you would use for other vinyl. And so those are available, sold separately. They're only like $1 or so, and you can use them multiple times just like you can normal vinyl. So we'll set that to the side. And so now what we want to do, I do not want to put it like center of the entire bag. I want it to be a little bit below, and then we're ready to place our parchment down. And so just make sure that any curling, like the nice thing about parchment is you can see right through it. And then we're ready to use our heat source and put it in place. And you know, guys, I know we've said this before, but one of the things I love about this product, even though this is not a black or, you know, a dark color, I love that you can use it on dark colors, and I love that you don't have to have a sublimation blank to do this. You can use any blank, any soft blank you want. Okay, so now we have our easy press ready. Okay. And this is just 15 seconds at 310, so it does not take a ton of time to do this. So now we're going to lift straight up, set it back on the cradle, and then just like with any iron-on or anything else, we're going to check it just to make sure that it fully adhered. Guys, it looks great. It looks fantastic. I am so excited about this product. Now I have read, and I haven't checked this yet, but I have read that it is good for 20 washes if you dry it. If you do not dry it and you kind of hang it up, now again, not so much with a tote, right? But if this was on a t-shirt or something, if you hang it up and don't use the dryer, you're looking at more like 50 washes. So I think this is going to be such a phenomenal option. Okay, so let's move on to our small totes. I've gone ahead and pressed these a little bit just to make sure that there's no wrinkles and things in the way. And so now what we can do is go ahead and peel off our designs. Again, taking it gentle because these are a little fragile. And once again, we're not going to need the carrier sheet because this is all together. There's not a lot of little intricate pieces that we have to worry about. So I'm going to set that to the side. We'll place on our design and measure. Now I am going to be a little more particular about the distance to the bottom of this bag because I want to make sure that the one I do for Cole looks very similar to this one since I'm going to be giving it to them at the same time. Okay, so once you have everything the way that you want it to be, we'll go ahead with the 310 in 15 seconds. Okay, and so I'm gonna check that out. Oh guys, so stinking cute. I am loving how it's coming out. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the one for Cole. So again, just be very gentle when you're peeling this off. Okay, so I am very excited about how these came out. I think they're absolutely adorable. I do want to share with you one thing. So when I did this on a lighter color, you couldn't see anything through the white. But the fact is this material is very thin. Okay, it's very thin. And so through the white on the dark material, you can see a little bit of the black behind it. Now it does not bother me, as a matter of fact, especially for a Halloween project, it looks a little bit like it was supposed to be that way. But you can see that there is some flecks of black that are kind of showing through. So you could do one of two things. You could let it be, which is kind of where I'm at, or you could do a tone of this color. So like for instance, if I had done gray, you wouldn't have been able to tell that there was any black. Or if you were doing a pumpkin and you like outlined that with orange, then again, you know, you wouldn't really be able to tell that. But I wanted to point that out in case you guys look to using this material on a darker substrate. But all in all, I have to tell you guys, I love it. I absolutely love it. I have all this beautiful full color. It was really easy to put down. And you know what? Sublimation, you always have to worry about ghosting and things like that. And there's none of that with this product. It dried immediately right off the printer, and I love the way it came out. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed learning about DTV and learning what direct to vinyl is and how you use it. And if you guys have any questions, I always want you to hop down in the comments and talk to me. I want to help you craft confidently and let me do all the testing so you don't have to waste materials. And if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button, guys. I want to have you with me all through the fall. I have so much going on this year. I would love to share it with all of you. I hope you guys have a blessed week, and I'll see you next time.